Hey kids, what time is it?
Marvel's bringing the Punisher back, the actual real Punisher, Frank Castle, not the one that they were trying to push a little while back that obviously didn't work. No one wanted to buy that. This is coming from Cosmic Book News by Matt McGloin. Marvel's bringing Punisher back, Frank Castle. We have Jon Bernthal to thank for Marvel Comics bringing back Frank Castle as the Punisher. To catch you up to speed, the woke weirdos at Marvel Comics did away with the Punisher back in 2022. Yeah, unbelievable. They changed the logo and replaced the character. The whole thing with... Can't believe it's already been 3 years where they got rid of the logo for some unexplained, stupid reason and replaced the character as they've done with tons of other characters that also failed, which includes Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, Nova, Ironheart, Captain America, Falcon, the list goes on. Marvel Comics even went so far as to completely destroy Frank Castle by removing the very reason he's the Punisher. They brought his wife back from... this was such an unbelievable thing. I couldn't believe that there's actually people who like this run. They brought his wife back from the dead, leaving Frank demoralized and forsaken by his resurrected wife, Maria. This was... I don't even know. Was it last year, the year before? Jason Aaron, I believe, did that, which to me is like incredible why he would do that. Aaron's written some really good stuff, but what he did with Frank Castle, completely deconstruction, and it's not just on him, obviously. This is all coming from Marvel editorial, I'm sure. The deconstruction of Frank Castle, where the run had him saying they retconned his whole past, where they said he was just even as a little kid, he was like very, very like brutal, almost like he's like a serial killer in the making. So that's why he became such a vigilante when he got older. Not because he wanted to get the bad guys and after he went off to war or whatever. But no, because as a little kid, he was always a really crappy guy or whatever, and that's crazy. And then on top of that, they bring back... I don't even know how they explain this one, but they bring back his wife, and they say that just before she died, she was ready to divorce him because he was such a terrible husband and father, and the kids aren't even consequential or anything like that. So the whole reason why he became the Punisher, the death of his family, that's not... This is what they did. They kind of threw all that away and said he was always a jerk. He was always a bad guy right from the beginning, and his wife was going to divorce him, and the kids didn't want to have anything. It was just so bad, and I cannot believe that Marvel did that. It was obviously a way to deconstruct the Punisher because they had something against his logo and didn't want to put somebody there as a character, as a popular character. Well, guess what? It completely failed. Then they tried to replace Frank Castle with another Punisher. That completely failed. The reason they got rid of Frank Castle is that they hate what the Punisher represents. Many people in the police and military in the real world are inspired by the Punisher and even use his logo. Well, the wokies hate that. They hate the police. They hate the military. Of course, they hate Trump. So they did away with the Punisher. They made Frank Castle give up his war on crime and replaced him with a different character. Didn't sell. No one cared about it. None of the people that were trying to push for this even bought any of it. Marvel didn't get anything out of that. Well, the most recent series was canceled after 4 issues. The one where they tried to replace it with someone else. How'd that work out? This looks good though. If this is coming back, this is going to be good. It's Marvel Red Band. Oh wow. Frank Castle returns in Punisher Red Band. Back to Jon Bernthal. We don't know if he's directly to thank, but Marvel Comics has announced a new series where Frank Castle will be back as the Punisher with the original Skull logo. Excellent. I mean, if they do this right, they could do this they could make this an ongoing series because it will sell. It's a new 5-issue limited series titled Punisher Red Band, written by Benjamin Percy. Benjamin Percy is a good writer, with art by Julius Oda. I'm not sure how familiar. I'm not very familiar with this artist, but definitely we'll give this a chance. And it gets released this September. Excellent. So I'm sure with this 5-issue limited series, they're kind of trying to test the waters maybe. And I bet you this thing is going to be really, really popular. And I wouldn't be surprised if they made it into an ongoing series. I'm not sure how available the creative team is for ongoing series, but they can get someone else if they're not, and it will sell. And here's a really great imagery right there. Look at this. Red band. Here's the synopsis. Reread, and reload. True believers. Frank Castle is back with no memories, a full clip, and a thirst for wrathful vengeance. His violent search for answers can only be chronicled in the Red Band series. Bullets will fly, blood will flow, and the citizen criminals of New York City alike will fear the name of the Punisher. Okay. Another image there. Frank Castle is back in R-rated Red Band book. Frank Castle, the dark-hearted vengeance machine, the monster who fights monsters, is one of my all-time favorite characters, and Punisher is a series I've been gunning to write for a long, long time. I believe this is coming from, Benjamin Percy. Not only is Frank back in black, but this is a Red Band book. You know what that means. I'm going to lean in fully and push the very limits of my favorite genre. Hairy psychopaths. This is going to be as gritty and bloody as it gets. Street-level mayhem awaits you, and Julius Oda, who I collaborated with previously on Helverine, is bringing all the blood and fire and rage to the page with beautiful, terrifying art. So Red Band means it's more mature because of the violence. And Marvel did a couple of these things where they did some series back, I believe it was with Wolverine Revenge, where they did, and I think with Deadpool too, where they did like a kind of like an all audience version, and then did a Red Band version where it came out polybag, where there was extra hard violence in it that they didn't want younger people to just be able to pick up and open up. So they call it the Red Band book. I mean, the idea seems to just for those series, the idea was just kind of a money grab, having two different versions so that all people who are collectors will get both versions. But all they did was kind of add a page or two. But in this case, the whole book is going to be Red Band. Here's some really, this artist looks really good where he did this. Looks some really good. Jon Bernthal back as a Punisher in the MCU. Of course, Jon Bernthal has returned as the Punisher in the MCU's Daredevil Born Again series. And I believe it's also been announced that he's going to be Spider-Man in the new Spider-Man movie. I could be wrong, but I believe he's been announced as the Punisher in the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out. Bernthal is also developing a spin-off Punisher special for the streamer. Here it is. Jon Bernthal is said to be starting Spider-Man 4 as the Punisher. Now Marvel Comics brings back Frank Castle as the Punisher. Coincidence? Nope. So this writer is kind of making a connection between Jon Bernthal coming back as a Punisher to probably, and he's probably right, where they got a lot of feedback that people were interested in that version of the Punisher that was portrayed by Jon Bernthal, and they of course wanted to make it into a comic. And you know, I could have told them they didn't have to see Jon Bernthal back as the Punisher to tell them that this was going to work, because Frank Castle has always been pretty popular in the comics. Marvel Comics sellout Tom Brevoort admitted that comics only serve as a creator. This is the reason why Marvel's doing so bad, because this guy's part of their editorial team. He admitted that comics only serve as a creative fodder for eventual film and animation development. Well, I take exception to that. That's not true. I read a lot of comics not just because I'm waiting for a movie to come out. It's only because they're entertaining. That probably explains why 50% of comic shops have failed and the MCU has completely tanked. Exactly right, because of ideas like this, which are totally false. Some nice imagery again. Disney and Kevin Feige are the worst things to have happen to Marvel Comics. This guy really doesn't hold back. The bozos at Marvel Studios are trying to come up with their own ideas and are telling the comics people to follow suit. Instead of being, it should be the other way around. The movie should be inspired by the comics. There's a rich history of comics that goes back 50, 60, 100 years. That's where the movie should be taken from. Not coming up with your own stupid ideas and then making that into a comic. which is what made the MCU so good when it first started. They're putting their own ideas into comics first to test how it looks. Again, how's that working out? Not too good. By comparison, Jon Favreau, Joss Whedon, James Gunn, and Russos are all fans of the comics. Exactly. All the movies that did very well in the MCU were all by, the people behind the camera were all comic book fans. They're inspired by their love of comics and developed the MCU. Post Endgame, Marvel producers told their directors not to read comics. How'd that work out? That's one of the stupidest things to do. They told the directors not to read comics. What idiotic. No wonder that they have so many flops. Disney and Kevin Feige are the worst things that have happened to comics. They'd be best leaving Marvel Comics completely alone. MCU fans don't buy comics. Disney and Feige have ruined their business. Yeah, exactly. If you're not gonna make movies that are inspired by the comics, then just completely separate yourself from the comics. Don't mix the movies with the comics. Then leave the comics alone. That way they could be good for us who like to read them. Thank you, Jon Bernthal. So thank you for bringing back the Punisher. We need more creatives like Bernthal. Keep fighting the good fight. This is what he said back in 2021 about the Punisher and making sure the Punisher is done right before joining the MCU. That character in particular has a real deep meaning for me and resonance in me. He's really in my heart. He's really in my bones. I'm enormously protective of that character. I've said before that there's nothing in this world more important to me than my wife and my kids, and only until you understand that kind of love is what it really means to willingly die for somebody. Now, this guy really is the right guy to play this character, and he really understands what it would be like. Do you understand what it would be like for somebody that took them from you? That's a road in the darkness and a rage that really scares me and brings me to places I've worked the last 20 years to get away from. So I was really grateful, respectful, and wary of the places where that role took me and the world in which I had to live in. He really respects the character and puts everything that he is, he puts into this character. What a great casting choice for this. That being said, that's where the character needs to be. It needs to be a level of darkness. I think if there's any let up on that character, you do a disservice to the character, to every iteration of the character, to every comic book that's come before, exactly, and to all the unbelievable fans of the character. This character means so much to people in the military. So like I said before, it's not about whether you do the character, it's about whether you can do it right. And I'm only interested in doing it right. Yeah, because originally the way they were bringing him back and the Daredevil Reborn series was completely not the right way, and he refused to be part of it. It's only when they kind of got rid of the original people that were doing the series and replaced them with and went in a totally different direction, that's when he agreed to come back. And this is exactly right. The MCU needs a lot more people like this who actually know the character that's in the comics, that's been come to life all these years for comic book readers, and then that's how you're going to portray them. This art is really intense. Wow. Okay, there you have it. Punisher, Frank Castle. It looks like Marvel is trying to go in the right direction. I'm still there's a lot of trepidation because of what they've done before with this, on whether they're actually going to go through with this. But if everything in this article is right, then they're going to do it right. Unfortunately, right now, it looks like it's only a 5-issue series. I'll definitely check it out and come back and review that. And hopefully they'll get so much feedback on how popular it is that they'll make it into an ongoing comic. And thank you, Jon Bernthal. Okay, that's it for me. This time, please leave me a comment on what you think of this idea of the Punisher, the actual Punisher, and whether you're going to check out the comic, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching GeekTime TV. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure to check the little bell icon anytime someone from our network drops new content here. Want some GeekTime swag? Check out the merchandise available in the GeekTime TV store, linked in the channel description below. Share GeekTime TV with friends, and as always, thank you for your support. We'll see you soon.